Deep within the complex blueprint of human behavior lies a quiet, often misunderstood trait that has shaped civilizations and personal relationships for millennia. Submissiveness, frequently dismissed in modern self-help culture as a definitive sign of weakness, is actually one of the most sophisticated survival mechanisms engineered by natural selection. We live in a contemporary society that constantly glorifies dominance, loud aggression, and relentless self-assertion, leaving those who naturally lean toward compliance feeling deeply inadequate. However, viewing submissiveness through the objective lens of evolutionary biology and modern neuropsychology reveals a highly nuanced spectrum of distinct costs and profound benefits. It is not merely a personality defect, but rather a deeply ingrained biological response designed to navigate complex social hierarchies. By examining exactly how compliance affects our brains, our endocrine systems, and our overall psychological well-being, we can uncover whether this quiet trait is a prison of our own making or a powerful strategic tool for systemic physical and mental optimization. To understand the profound nature of submissiveness, we must travel back to the ancestral environments where the human central nervous system was originally forged. When faced with an immediate threat, most people are familiar with the classic fight or flight response, orchestrated by the sympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system. However, modern neuroscience recognizes a third, equally vital defensive strategy known as the fawn response, which directly manifests as behavioral compliance. In ancient tribal societies, openly challenging a dominant alpha leader or a hostile neighboring group over every minor dispute was a guaranteed pathway to severe physical injury, total exile, or immediate death. Submissiveness evolved as a brilliant behavioral break, an elegant way to signal non-aggression and de-escalate interpersonal tension before it turned physically lethal. By gracefully yielding to a more powerful entity, our ancestors successfully preserved the collective integrity of the tribe, avoided fatal conflicts, and secured their immediate survival. Therefore, when you feel the sudden instinctual urge to back down and please others during a high-stress confrontation, you are experiencing an ancient biological script running seamlessly inside your brain. In our modern world, this evolutionary inheritance opens up several fascinating strategic opportunities, proving that conscious compliance can be a massive asset when deployed with precision. In highly structured professional environments, a calculated degree of submissiveness allows an individual to navigate social hierarchies smoothly, build initial social capital, and completely avoid unnecessary political crossfire. By temporarily quietening the immediate demands of the ego, a compliant person can gather vital environmental data, observe hidden organizational dynamics, and successfully position themselves as a highly reliable, deeply cooperative team player. From a purely metabolic and physiological standpoint, choosing to yield in low-stakes arguments is an incredibly efficient way to preserve your vital biological resources. Every single time you consciously refuse to engage with an irrational individual on the street, you actively prevent a massive, destructive surge of adrenaline and inflammatory cytokines from flooding your bloodstream. This highly selective compliance acts as a protective shield for your cardiovascular system, allowing you to save your precious cognitive energy and psychological resilience for the high-stakes battles that genuinely align with your long-term personal goals. However, when submissiveness transitions from a conscious, temporary tactic into a permanent, subconscious way of living, the biological and psychological losses become staggeringly destructive to human health. Chronic compliance, often driven by an intense, paralyzing fear of interpersonal rejection, creates a permanent state of intense internal friction where an individual's external actions are completely disconnected from their true internal values, needs, and desires. This constant suppression of the authentic self is interpreted by the brain's hypothalamus as an unceasing, invisible threat, triggering the continuous, low-level release of glucocorticoids, primarily known as the stress hormone cortisol. While short bursts of cortisol are highly adaptive and necessary for acute survival, a permanent flood of this hormone actively wreaks havoc on the human body over time. It systematically degrades the protective lining of the gastrointestinal tract, leading to chronic digestive issues, and severely suppresses the production of vital immune cells, leaving the organism wide open to systemic inflammation. Crucially, while analyzing these behavioral patterns is an excellent tool for preventative lifestyle management and mental hygiene, chronic emotional exhaustion from deep compliance should never be ignored, and these insights are never a substitute for professional psychological evaluation or medical therapy. The psychosomatic toll of perpetual submissiveness reminds us how deeply the mind and body are intertwined. People who habitually swallow their anger and bury their words to keep the peace frequently present with chronic muscle tension concentrated in the jaw, neck, and shoulders. This occurs because the motor cortex prepares the body to defend itself, but the inhibitory centers of the frontal lobe forcibly freeze the action, trapping the raw physical energy of unexpressed emotion inside musculoskeletal tissue. Neurologically, this chronic behavioral inhibition alters the physical architecture of the human brain over extended periods. Prolonged exposure to high cortisol levels can cause cellular atrophy in the hippocampus, the region responsible for memory and emotional regulation, while simultaneously overactivating the amygdala, the brain's primary fear center. This neurological shift locks the individual into permanent hypervigilance, making them pathologically sensitive to the slightest hint of disapproval from their environment. Over time, this erosion leads directly to learned helplessness, a debilitating state where the brain completely stops looking for escape routes, firmly believing that any future attempt to assert personal autonomy is entirely futile. Breaking free from the suffocating cage of involuntary submissiveness requires a profound motivational shift and a conscious commitment to leveraging the brain's capacity for neuroplasticity. The goal of this transformation is not to swing violently into toxic aggression, which carries severe cardiovascular risks, but rather to cultivate a balanced, empowered state of mind known as healthy assertiveness. Assertiveness represents the ultimate golden mean of human behavior, defined as the capacity to honor your own boundaries, voice your authentic needs, and protect your psychological sovereignty while maintaining absolute respect for the rights of others. You must realize that setting firm, unyielding boundaries is not an act of selfish hostility, but rather the highest form of self-care and foundational health maintenance available. Every time you courageously say no to an unreasonable demand that compromises your physical or mental well-being, you send a life-affirming signal to your nervous system that your time and health possess immense intrinsic value. This deliberate reclamation of autonomy triggers the rewarding release of dopamine and strengthens neural pathways associated with self-efficacy, helping your brain rewrite its default operational settings. You transition from a passive, terrified spectator trying to survive the whims of others into an active, motivated architect of your own destiny, perfectly balancing cooperative compliance with unyielding self-preservation. Thank you for taking this deep, enlightening journey into the complex psychology and biological mechanics of submissiveness and assertiveness with me today. If learning exactly how to balance adaptive social cooperation with healthy, unyielding self-preservation gave you a valuable new blueprint for your personal wellness, structural alignment, and mental clarity, please hit the like button right now to support our growing community. Do you frequently find yourself falling into the hidden trap of overcompliance just to keep the peace, or have you successfully mastered the art of setting firm, healthy boundaries in your daily life? Share your personal stories, unique challenges, and motivational insights in the comments section down below so we can all learn and grow together. Make sure to subscribe to the channel immediately and click that notification bell right now so you never miss our deep, scientific explorations into human behavior, longevity, and holistic physical optimization. Until next time, keep optimizing your mind, boldly protect your personal boundaries, stay motivated, and stay vigilant.